Here's an interesting fact. There is a math equation that has been able to very correctly predict the price of Bitcoin for the past 10 years and XRP for the past 8 years. More than that, it's also right on the money about where they'll be in 4, 10, or even 20 years. The truth is that's exactly what happened, and I'm going to tell you about some cool mathematical and scientific discoveries that have been made recently that will change the way you think about everything you invest in. This information doesn't just apply to Bitcoin or XRP, it also applies to stocks, real estate, and pretty much every other type of investment that a lot of people are involved in. So click the like button. Before I talk about this, I need to talk about a mathematical fact that I learned from Vsauce, a science YouTuber who talks about all the most common words in the English language. And the most common words now are the of and to, are, in, is, I, that, and it. There's something really interesting about all of these words we use in English. The word of is used about half as often as is. The word and which comes after of is used about a third as often as is, and the word to is used a quarter as often. In the same way, it scales down linearly. Also, that might sound completely crazy to you, and you may be thinking what this has to do with cryptocurrency. I'll get to that right away. For example, to find out how common a word is, we divide the number of times it is used by its rank, and then multiply that number by the number of times it is used to get the word's rank. Since it's the 6th most common word in the world, you split 1 by 6 to find out how many people use that word out of the whole pool. If you put this on a graph like this one, you'll see that there is a straight line going down that ranks each word in order of how famous it is. This is called a power law. Power rules work with more than just words, and now if you're like me, you might be thinking what a bunch of lines and dots have to do with investments. However, if you can discover an exponential link between a number of different numbers over a certain amount of time, after that you can use that to get a very good idea of what the future holds for whatever you're talking about. I'm going to show you how that works now. Vsauce, whose real name is Michael and who has millions of subscribers and whose movie on this subject has been watched millions of times, then did this. To make his guess, he looked at how often the word source was used and used this power law to guess how many times it would show up on Wikipedia. As an example, the word source was the 5,555th most used in connection to all other words in the world. He then divided that number by the number of words, which was 181 million, and came up with the estimate of 30,000 times. We're going to find it that many times, and after quickly adding up how many times the word source was used in Wikipedia, he was really close. He gets 30,000. The exact number he got was 29,594, and it was true for every word on Wikipedia. It's crazy and mind-blowing when you really think about it, but let's move on to more interesting things. One crazy fact is that this power law helped us figure out the exact speeds at which all of the planets in our solar system rotate. When you put it on a graph like this one, you get a straight line. When you compare how far away Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars are from the Sun to how long it takes them to go around the Sun, you can see that this power loss makes perfect sense. When you think about it, it really blows your mind. On the other hand, I think all of you have this question right now. What does any of this have to do with cryptocurrency? I'm finally going to get to that. This is what's called a log line chart. Now, most log line charts have 3 to 4 lines that show Bitcoin's whole past. That line goes all the way back to 2011 and goes on forever into the future. The bottom support line is this red line you can see on the screen. Bitcoin will never go below this line. This also shows the very best time to buy Bitcoin. What do you think will happen when Bitcoin is very close to the red line? The price to buy it is likely to be the lowest it has ever been. That's also true for the other Q at the top, which you can probably just barely make out. Bitcoin will never really go above that line. That is as high as it will ever go. And even if it does, it will only be for a very short time and only when the market is right. But one thing you'll notice is that the arrows are pretty far apart at the beginning of this log line. As you get closer to the top, they get closer together. The rules of power say that to be true. When you get to a certain point in time and far enough into the future, obviously Bitcoin will never reach a value of $1 billion or more per coin, at least not in the next 4 years. However, it will always be pretty close to this level. As you can see, it has been dead on for Bitcoin, XRP, and Solana so far. The bottom line is the best one to use for this power law. It shows you the best times to buy things. That's what I'm going to show you today. Before I do that, I need a mathematician, someone who works with power laws all the time to really explain how this can be used for cryptocurrency. Please pay attention. Let's talk about making money with XRP for a moment. Here's something cool you should check out. In fact, I opened some long bets on XRP just last week. Take a look at the very bottom of this screen to see some crazy PL for those deals. In the same way, if you want to trade futures on the Margex exchange, you can also start positions like this. For you guys, I think now is a great time to start taking 5x leverage bets on XRP. This cryptocurrency is going to take a big hit. Sign up for Margex through my link to get some great features and perks. Then we'll go long on XRP and see the kind of PL I just showed you at the bottom of the screen. I opened a long trade on the website, and you can do the same thing by clicking on the link below. It sounds good. Now, if you guys go to the website's referral area and use my code LEVI20, you will get trading discounts and bonuses after you sign up through my link. Make sure you do that. I'll see you guys when we get to the other side with our huge XRP wins. Going back to the movie, it basically shows how Bitcoin is growing. So this idea of scale is these changes in terms of how big they are. That's 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000. This is significant because Bitcoin used to be almost nothing or a very small amount of a dollar. Then it hit $1, which made everyone happy. It then went to $10, $100, and $1,000. So it went up almost 6 times as much in just a few years, or 15 years, or 15 years. That's really cool. Very nearly, I think I know that no one on Earth has ever done that before, but I know, right? That's why the size is important. What will Bitcoin's peak be at the next cycle based on what this log scale graph shows? This is the next peak, which is this one. That's why I'll say close to 200 if he keeps following these mathematical trends, which would be the worst case. The tops are on an exponential decline. That lets you figure out what the next peak will be at least 150 times. I'm pretty sure of it. What year is that? Around the middle of 2025. What will happen in 10 years? It's clear that everyone wants to know when it reaches a million. In 2033, it will be 1 million. That's July 2030. Usually, I'm not sure about things. Also, when I hear these numbers, I don't believe them unless the power law has been used to actually figure out planets and how fast they spin, and it worked perfectly for almost everything it can be used for. Right, I mean, I showed you the example with words, I showed you how true it is with Bitcoin, and of course I showed you with the solar system as well. Taking all of that into account, this is a truly revolutionary thought and concept because it tells us what the possible peak will be next year. What could be the bottom? To cut a long story short, there is no reason not to put crazy amounts of money into Bitcoin if the bottom and peak are much higher than they are now. In a strange way, this power law also shows that the peak of cryptocurrency will happen next year. Just the right amount of time for how long it usually takes for the crypto markets to reach their peak after Bitcoin leads the market. When you think about Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve, and how they plan to lower interest rates, I think it's crazy that all of these things come together so well to give us a revolutionary price estimate for XRP, for Bitcoin, for every other asset. That's why I want to use the law to show you what we have in store for XRP in 2025. This means that when we use these log lines to guess how XRP might affect prices over the next 2 years, we get some pretty crazy numbers. In fact, these laws of power and log lines were just used in March to figure out what the low and high points for XRP would be by next year, right? We saw some really cool trends when we looked at the 2021 high point, the 2017 high point, and pretty much the whole business history of XRP. First, XRP could reach a high point of about $50 per coin in the middle of next year. Now, I'll be very happy if we do reach that level because we saw that happen with Bitcoin. On some of the charts we showed, that level touched and sometimes even went above the higher log line. In the most likely scenario, XRP will be worth around $15 to $20 a coin by the middle of 2025. And to be honest, that's a lot more than I thought. Using these laws of power and what we know about Bitcoin, word, solar system, and other examples, it's very possible that XRP will be in that range as well. That should be more than enough to make you go all in on XRP when it hits 50 cents, right? Yes, $50 XRP is what I think is fair. I'm thrilled about that price. And I'd like to know what you all think about that. People who think XRP will go up in value should use the link below to join Margin.